What's good YouTube, Ben here, welcome to the next video on the channel. In this one, I'm going to give you my next Steel Path Viable build on Warframe. This is going to be for Ignis Wraith. Let's get into this. Right, I just got 5 minutes into recording the build for this and realised my mic wasn't on, so there's that. But we're running Galvanized Aptitude for 80% status chance and on kill plus 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target for 20 seconds, stacks up 2 times. Galvanized Chamber for 80% multi-shot and on kill plus 30% multi-shot for 20 seconds, stacks up 5 times. Critical Delay for 200% critical chance and negative 20% fire rate. Vital Sense for 120% critical damage. Hunter Munitions for 30% chance to apply slash procs on criticals. A Malignant Force for 60% toxin and 60% status chance. Rime rounds for 60% cold and 60% status chance. And Thermite rounds for 60% heat and 60% status chance. And in the Arcane slot, we're running Primary Merciless, so on kill plus 30% damage for 4 seconds, stacks up to 12 times, and 30% reload speed. So as you can see, we're running a critical status mix build with perfect status, so we're always going to land statuses which are heat and viral. So viral is of course to help cut through health, and heat is to help cut through armor. And then of course we're running Hunter Munitions, which works in line with our 51% critical chance with our 5.5 times critical multiplier. Now, having 50% critical chance sounds kind of bad, but it's really not. Anything above 50% is actually fine, because you're going to be hitting crits a lot more than you're not. But yeah, this is the main build, so what I'm going to do is jump straight into the mission. I will show you what this thing can do. Alright, as per usual, we're Oxmoco in the Void. Now, quickly explain why we're here. So, Oxmoco in the Void is one of the latest game areas of the game, being in the Void, so you're dealing with higher level enemies. Not to mention, you're dealing with the Corrupted here, and with the Corrupted, you're dealing with enemies with just health, enemies with health and shields, and enemies with high armor, giving you a more varied example of what your weapon slash Warframe can do. This is also what I like to label a Steel Path viable build, so whilst this is viable to go through the Steel Path with, and you can easily do so, it is not meant to get you to level cap, which is level 9,999 enemies, because if that's what you're after, probably the wrong video to watch. Without any further ado, let's jump in. So, like a lot of weapons, the build-up is a little bit slow at first, because you've got to deal the original damage, but once you've dealt the damage to basically one enemy, that's it. It picks up, and you're able to start cutting through pretty much everything after that. A lot of weapons do start like that, where you do have to get the first kill in order to be able to actually do something. But then as soon as you do, that's it. You're pretty much set, and you can just go ahead and start melting through everything else. Now, of course, because of how much we're actually critting, as you can see, we are going to be proccing Hunter Munitions quite a lot. So we are going to be cutting through everything pretty darned easily. Not to mention, because of the kind of weapon Ignis Wraith is, because it's like I like to call it a spread weapon. I can't remember that it's like an energy weapon. Because of the way it works, you can hit multiple enemies at once, which is quite nice. Which more often than not will be the case. For anyone wondering how this works against Acolytes, I will be staying in the mission long enough to get to an Acolyte, just so you can see the kind of things it does. I mean, it's okay, but there are better weapons for Acolytes. Like, there are a ton of better options, so if you're rocking like a decent melee or a decent secondary, I'd highly recommend it. But again, you'll see what I mean when we get to the Acolyte. But Ignis Wraith continues to be a really solid weapon. Like, there's not really much else to it. It's just put the build on, aim, and fire. And of course I get an Argon Crystal right when I don't need one. But we're just kind of ripping our way through, like, as you do. There's not really much else to say, because, like, it's just one of those weapons that works. Like, it doesn't particularly matter, like, how harsh you build the build. Basically speaking, as long as you do a decent critical build with a decent status build, you're rocking fine. Like, I don't see any issue with this weapon running in the Steel Path whatsoever. Like, I just don't. It just works. Which, to be fair, for a lot of weapons, because sometimes you really have to think about the build you're putting on. Like, this was the first build I slapped, and then I tried a couple of other ones, but they didn't work as well. Like, I took off Hunter Munitions to see how well it would run with raw status, and it ran fine, but, like, it didn't do as much damage as this, so, like... The thing is, because there are so many mods now that are just staple mods that I would put on pretty much any weapon, unless it's got terrible crits... You know, Hunter Munitions is pretty much a staple mod, because if you're not running it, then you're not going to get anywhere near as much damage, because it's... The thing with mods like Hunter Munitions is it's not multiplicative, it's additive. So all it does is add extra slash procs onto the criticals you're already doing, and because the criticals already hit hard enough as it is anyway, it's not as if you're not going to be hitting anything... You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain, but, like... Just because of the way certain weapons work, like, if you've got a decent crit chance, run Hunter Munitions. It's kind of the meta for the game. Which is fine, because, I mean, you know, it makes a lot of weapons work. You know, Ignis Wraith for me is one of those weapons. I've always enjoyed using it, but I haven't had a Steel Path build for it built yet, because I've been building a lot of other weapons, and I wanted to leave Ignis Wraith for a while, because I just had other weapons I wanted to test. Like, especially ones that you get, ouch. That could also happen if you are not careful. Whoops. Getting wombo comboed by multiple eximuses is not ideal, I gotta admit, but it's fine. We can just quickly build back up. Like, I've already had 2 failed recordings. I'm not just gonna restart this because I died. There are certain builds I have died in videos before. Like, it's not that deep. The cool thing is as well, because if I die, it gives you an example of what will happen if you need to quickly build back up, which, as you can see, not difficult to do so. At all. Like, you can just build this back up. But in that instance, I got wombo comboed by a few eximus, including a Jade eximus, which to this day I can't stand Jade eximuses. They just ruin the fun. But it kind of is what it is. Going to take out the bombard before it causes me too many problems. But this is the thing, like, the cool thing with this game is, like, dying mid-mission is really not that big a problem normally, especially on Steel Path if you've got builds. Because, like, say, for example, my Ignis Wraith wasn't doing work. Okay, great. I could swap to my Tomos, or I could go straight in with Dual Zarian Prime, which, you know, does work anyway. So, realistic... Oh, it's behind the walls on the other side. I'm not going back for that. But realistically speaking, you're fine. Like, you die, it's not that deep. You can just continue. Right, that's a bit of a problem, because I'm taking out an Eximus currently. Oh, hello. Right, so as you can see, we are ripping through the shields, which is great, and we are sort of ripping through the health. The thing is, because of the kind of weapon Ignis Wraith is, it doesn't cut through that quick, which is unfortunate. I do not need my ability shutting down right now. Yeah, I'm dead. Like, it doesn't do well against Acolytes. I would highly recommend running pretty much any other weapon for it. Like, I could run my Dual Zarian Prime, and it would absolutely do work against it. So, I did do a video for Dual Zarian Prime recently. But basically, that's the crux of it. Like, for the main enemies, it's going to do absolutely fine. Like, for Acolytes, not so much. Especially when your abilities get shut down. You know, it's kind of meh. But let me know what you think about this weapon in the comments down below. Don't forget you can also support the channel completely for free just by liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really does help with that YouTube algorithm. Don't forget you can also support the channel even further by becoming a channel member from as little as 99 pence per month. And don't forget I do live stream. When I go live here on YouTube and over on Twitch. My streams here on YouTube are in the shorts form feeds, more for mobile. If you want to catch the exact same streams at the exact same time in full 1080p, then feel free to join me on Twitch or Kick. Those links are in the description below.